Today I have this Nintendo DS Lite. It's the Zelda Triforce Special Edition version, which makes it somewhat unique. The eBay listing said it had a broken hinge, which it does. It also said it had bent pins in the card slot, which it does. So since they're right, let's see if we can fix it. So to fix the hinge, I'm going to have to take it apart, but to fix the bent pins, I'm going to try bending them back with a pair of tweezers before I just go ahead and replace that card slot. It might not be effective, but it's at least something to try if you don't want to buy a new card slot and have to desolder the original and solder on a new one. Let's give it a shot and see if that works. You are going to want a pair of very fine tweezers if you attempt to repair it this way. You can see these two right here are bent, all out of shape, and that's going to prevent making good contact with the card. Could possibly damage the game card. You would be taking a bit of a risk putting it in there. Grab it and twist, and that did nothing, did it? No. So it's going to be impossible to probably bend this properly because I'm going to have to bend it all the way back around to try and get it to deform properly. Try grabbing the top of it and twisting. And now I'm just making it worse. This is not working very well. And not surprising because, I mean, something bent this real good to get it to bend in the first place. So, all right, well, we're gonna have to get it apart anyway to get to the hinge, so let's do that. And you can see here the hinge is supposed to catch somewhere about here, so you can play it without it doing this. So a little part in here that's broken. Hopefully we can fix it. So first thing to do, remove the battery. Now there are 4 screws here we need to take out. Then there are 2 screws underneath these pieces. And 1 final Y screw there. And a hidden one right here. Okay, now you can get the case off. Just prying it up. Might have to use a little tool. There. Remove these just because I don't want them flying anywhere. And here we get a look at a board, which seems to be in pretty good condition despite the fact that this water damage indicator has gone off, but you know, that could be anything really, and it doesn't look like there's any liquid damage on here. Here's our game card slot, which needs to be replaced. But the first thing I'm going to do is actually get that hinge replaced. I did buy new pieces for this. We have our game card slot, which looks like it came off a used one. That's okay. Some bridged connectors here, but we can fix that. And then our new hinge. Hopefully this will work. Take this little chip off carefully. Remove this wire. This wire. We're gonna have to get this board out anyway to replace that, so this isn't so bad. Push this through, grab it with that little guy. Okay. Remove this guy. And then the board should come free. Can just pop this out. Okay, come on. There we go. Put that to the side for now. Oh, well, there came this. Also gonna be sad if it's this part that's actually like damaged. No, I don't think I have to remove this. I think I just have to get this out. Out with the old and in with the new. Is that going to do anything at all or no? I have a hard time believing that was it, but we'll find out. Okay. Let's see. What happens when I put that back? Does it open? No. Still doesn't. This actually does work, which is fine. I don't mind buying a piece that I don't actually use, but I'm wondering if it's not this, but it's this part right here is just worn down. In that case, I honestly think I might just super glue this in or something. Somehow glue this part into here. Because if that's the case, then the reason this isn't working is because of this piece. And I think that that's the case. I think it's just too loose. You can see when I turn it there, it just wants to slide right out. I think it's just, that's what this one's doing. It's the old one, but it's probably even worse. Yeah. This is just so loose in here that I think it's just, you know, it's not catching it properly. I really want to super glue it. I hate super gluing things, but I really want to do that to this one. This piece is unique, so I don't like that idea actually, but I'm trying to think if there's anything better I could do. I'm gonna see if I can come up with any other better ideas than, you know, super glue, but that's a real shame. I think it's still a usable piece. I think that was fine actually. It's just this piece is worn down. I do think that if I glue that piece in there, it's an option. But just like that. It's all it takes to fix it. If that barrel, for some reason, this part breaks, then that's really the issue. Not that hard of a fix. Not too bad to tear down. Well, there, see? There it goes. So it does kind of work. Maybe when it's in there solid with the rest of the body holding it together, it won't flex as mad, but you can see here, it does catch. And it's not all the way down, so we'll see. But now we have to move on to the game card. Take off this lower screen. Another cable here. Flip that up. And that comes out. And here's our board. Now I just need to get this off and get this one on. So back to the microscope. These don't look to be too bad. Remember that that one right there is not soldered on. So that's good to know. This ground leg. Okay, ground leg. And there's nothing on this side of the board. There's that port, so could heat it up from the bottom if I needed to. I'm worried about that plastic melting a little bit, but what I think I'm gonna do first is come in and try and get rid of some of that solder all around the board. So I really wanted to see if I could remove this game card reader without using a hot air station, just because I know not everyone has one and it's a bit of an investment, even a cheap one, and it's not something you want to buy just to fix something like this. A hot air station would make the job quick, but with the way this is designed, I think you could remove it with just a soldering iron. You just need some real patience, something that I will eventually run out of. But I start by using a solder wick with some flux to remove the solder around the 4 legs of the card reader. And I managed to get a pretty good amount of the solder off that way. I then went through and did the same thing with all the pins of the card reader, and again, the solder came off relatively easy. There aren't a lot of components around the card reader to worry about, and the board is so thin that it heats up real quick and the solder just wicks away. I managed to get the top legs to come free from the board by touching the solder tip to the legs and then using tweezers to lift it off the pad, and that worked pretty well. Like I said, you probably could keep doing this for each of the pins, but I got tired of this process and I didn't want to potentially rip one of the pads and make a bigger mess for myself to fix, so I decided to go with the hot air station from here. I put some Kapton tape over the Game Boy Advance reader and battery terminal to give them some protection. Kapton tape really has become one of my new favorite tools to use. It's just made my work so much easier. I highly recommend it. Then I came in with the hot air station at 360 Celsius and like 55% airflow, and it didn't take long for the card reader to come free. The card reader did come with a bridge pin, but that's nothing a little flux can't solve. After that, all I had to do was clean up the pads, tin them with some solder, and I'm honestly not sure I would recommend doing that in this situation, because since I wasn't going to come back in with the hot air to reinstall the new card reader, all that ended up happening was the solder on the pads caused the reader to sit uneven, so I ended up having to go over the pins several times to get them soldered to the pads. I think in a case like this, you could get away with soldering this without tinning the pads first. Give it a good cleaning throughout. Okay, so now the only thing we have left to do, put it back together. Now we have to test the new game card, see if it reads a game, and what better game to do that with than Zelda Phantom Hourglass. Using a Zelda console to play a Zelda game, what could be more perfect? Okay, well that works. But that doesn't. Well, I don't see anything popping up here, which isn't a good indicator. And when I insert the cart, I don't get anything at all. All right, let's see if it'll read a Game Boy Advance. This might just be a hardware issue where it's just not going to play any games at all. That kind of seems like what it might be. Let's see. This is what a good working DS should do. And it should just start playing the game right away. So, it's not the game. Doesn't even appear to be popping up with the, no game card or DS card option. So, this one's a bit of a mystery to me. Unfortunately, that repair wasn't as successful as I wanted it to be. I would have liked to have fixed this. I probably could have sold it on eBay, being the special edition that it is, for a decent amount more than I paid for it, if it was in working condition. But as it is, it's no better off really than when I bought it. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow for all that work and buying two parts and seeing no results from that. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes sometimes when you're trying to repair consoles, especially 20-year-old consoles like this. I did go back in and try to adjust the ribbon cables just to see if that was the reason I wasn't getting a backlight on the bottom screen, but it didn't do anything to help. For now, I'm just going to keep this probably as a display item somewhere because I do like it. It's nice. I could always shell swap it and put a working DS Lite components inside of it and make it good as new. There's nothing special about the inside of this DS Lite. It's just the outside shell that's kind of rare and unique and collectible. I do like the special edition consoles, especially the Zelda and the Pokemon, because they're two of my favorite franchises, but I would never have bought one of these in working condition for what they go on eBay. They're a little too out of my price range. And while replacing the hinge and the game card reader didn't help for this console, I do hope that if one of those two issues is plaguing your console, this video can help. And I hope I showed that with a lot of time and patience, you can probably get that game card slot reader off without having a hot air station. The hot air station is going to help a lot. And in this situation, a cheap hot air station, a lot cheaper than this one, would probably be enough to get that game card reader off. It doesn't take a lot of heat because it's a very thin board, but you could try finagling it with just a soldering iron. You just want to be careful that you don't rip pads if you become too impatient and the solder is not melted. But that'll do it for this repair. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something useful from it. And if you did, please hit that like button down below. And if you're new around here, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a lot and means a lot to me. And whatever you do, just have a wonderful day.